Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Alicia Brescia here at Cosmic Gateway. I'm super excited to bring on my guest. It's been about a year in the making to get this next
Yeah.
round. I am
Wow.
joined by Alicia from Catastral 222. As many of you may know, she's a very dear soul sister of mine. We go way back in Earth years, couple. On a soul level, who knows, millennia.
Exactly.
But Alicia, welcome. Thank you for coming back and joining me and making this video. I think we're going to see where we go. As always with all the videos, we never really know where we're going, but we're going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the ascension process. I think you and I have very similar ideals around how that process works. And then we're going to touch on twin dynamics and how that plays a crucial role in the ascension process. So, Alicia,
Okay.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me again, sister. And yes, so we both know that this comes from long away.
Mhm. Yeah, I still can't shake the memory of when we first connected, and like the very first time I saw you on video, and I was like, and I was just, and I
Wow.
remember for days afterwards, I was like, I felt like I was looking at myself in the mirror. It was a very weird feeling and sensation.
Mm.
It's like, I wonder if you're like a fractal of me. And I was like going down all these weird rabbit holes. I'm like, we're both Pisces, we both have the same name, we've walked very similar but unique journeys, in our own way. And yeah. And I always joke when I meet someone of such a similar resonance, I'm like, I think the world might explode if we actually met in person. So
Yeah. Thank God we are very away right now. There's a lot of time and space between the two of you right now.
yeah.
And at the same time it isn't.
Exactly. Because, quite often, and what comes to mind was, obviously I was prompted to make a video, and we made a video about 12 months ago, I think it was, talking about your journey. And that was prompted because of a very vivid dream that I had, where you and I were preparing to talk on a video, and then the event happened. There was all this like explosions of light happening in the sky. And so as I sort of think back to it now, it's something important in these transmissions. So thank you everyone for coming on and walking with us and sharing with us and whatever's going to come through. But I know that you recently did an interview in Spanish talking about the ascension process. Did you want to
Yeah.
maybe start there and talk about that
Yes,
interview?
of course. That's part of the reason behind this interview with you, because I asked you to have me here to give me the opportunity to make this video in English for the people that can understand Spanish, of course. Because I thought that, well, it's not that I thought, I just went through maybe 3 weeks of a very, very heavy process that you really know, that you are aware of it. I shared it with you, in which I kind of went through a self-actualization or something like that. So I also had a past life regression that was absolutely amazing and absolutely interesting. And, the best experience I have, the best third dimensional experience, or one of the most interesting experience I have ever had, you know. And after that, it came kind of a self-actualization. And the thing is that because of what is going to happen, it's obviously, we all have insights and we all have inner knowings, and it's not exactly that it has to happen that way. It could be just something similar. It could be just, because always the third dimensional mind has this, it can only understand through the context that it already has. So sometimes there is not enough context, to try to download the whole information. So that is why I always believe that is why we always get information in small
Yeah.
pieces, like a puzzle, because sometimes we lack the kind of context that we really need to understand that piece of the puzzle. So what I got is that it was really important to help people understand mostly the people that are not awakened or that are not familiar, sorry, bear with my English. I need to start channeling, to kind of get connected with English, and the reason behind, you know. So, but as soon as I connect, I start, channeling information in English much better. So the thing is that I really got the information through these downloads, that it was very important to help people to understand what it is actually happening with ascension process, because mostly people have an idea that it is something, like new age philosophy, or it's only spiritual, and it only happens to spiritual people, and that's not true, because we all are spiritual people. That that there are people that just don't give it too much importance to that part of their lives, and that's normal. That's okay. The thing is that they are going through this also with all of us. It's something that is happening to humanity, to whole humanity, and not just the people that are few chosen ones, or that meditate the whole day, or that eat vegan. So the
As I
important
always
part.
like to say, if you're living on planet Earth right now, you're going through the ascension process, whether you
Exactly,
like it or not.
exactly. No, whether if you are a human being, a pet, a dog, a
Exactly.
cat, a plant, everything is ascending, literally ascending, like not in a place way. It's like you are ascending to a higher frequency
Correct.
of the planet Earth. In astrology, we call it the high octave.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it exactly in English. I was thinking about it in Spanish, and it sounds so beautiful, but I couldn't
Please
couldn't
say it
really
in Spanish,
express it
because
in
I want
English.
to hear you say it in Spanish.
Do you want me to tell it in Spanish, to say it in Spanish?
Yeah.
We call the octava superior. The higher octave, like in music,
Hmm.
each planet has its own octava superior, higher. Uh, I don't know how do you
Octave.
say.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. I'm missing the musical part, but I know it. I know it. I promise I know it. So anyway, the thing is that the ascension process is a physical process. It has to do with physics and with astrophysics, and it's something that is actually happening to us,
Hmm.
not for us, not because of us. It's happening to us, and we need to understand the part that we are kind of a small part of uh, everything that composes Earth, and it's not only happening to Earth, it's happening to the whole solar system and to the whole galaxy, I guess, because I found out after these downloads that all the stars are connected.
Correct. Yeah.
And I remember that you recently just posted something about that, Proxima Centauri.
Yeah.
I don't know that in Spanish is Proxima Centauri. In English, it might be Proxima Centauri or something like that. Just had a huge flare in May of 2019.
Yeah.
So the thing is that if all the stars are connected, which is very logical, because as above, so below,
Hmm.
they are going to start, yeah, flaring, all of them. And of course, that means that our sun is doing exactly the same, and it's part of the evolution. It's part of the evolution of our solar system. And the thing is that people don't understand it as a physical process. They think that it is only something that is only happening to people that are crazy and out of their minds, and believe that we are going through these symptoms, when the symptoms really are because we are very anxious and we are going through a pandemic or something like that. So that's the thing. There are a lot of people out there having the symptoms that can't understand what the heck is going on. And
Mm.
my intention is to make a small explanation of what is exactly going on, because the human body, the heartbeat is exactly electromagnetic energy passing through our bodies, being conducted by our own heart, and it's called electrolytes. I think that in English is that also the right words, right? Electrolytes.
Yeah.
These elements in our blood that are called like electric sensitive, and that can channel energy, I guess. It's not channel the word. It's like when something, it's like like a
Conduit, a
conduit.
conduit, yeah, conduit
Yeah,
of it.
conduit. Thank you for that. So the thing is that obviously we are exposed to more electromagnetic energy, and our heart starts beating faster. And as our hearts start beating faster, everything gets, like kind of, it starts quickening. All our process, our biological process start quickening. So we just need to get used to that kind of higher electromagnetic energy, receiving a different kind of electromagnetic energy, because it's not only the quantity, it's also the quality of it.
Yeah.
We are having, it's like receiving a higher note, receiving a higher note from a musical note, from the sun. So we need to get used to it, because our body has to get used to it. I am not really um, savvy, I guess it's the right word that I'm trying to find, about the components in our body, but I know how it works because I have been studying a lot to understand it, to understand everything that is going on, of course, because I always need to have kind of a scientific, not proof, but at least background,
Background.
So yeah. And actually the sun is getting a little bit more intense, and the plasma that we're receiving is much more intense too. The thing is that we have always had these kind of flares, solar flares, and mass ejections, because that is how the sun behaves. It's like it has 11-year cycles, and that is how the sun behaves. But the thing is that we are going through this new cycle of the sun, the 25th cycle of the sun. Yeah, with the magnetosphere compressed. And it is compressed because the magnetic field of the earth is kind of weakening. And it's weakening because it's going to shift the polar, the electromagnetic pole is going to shift, because it's normal. There is so much tension and it has to be released, so it's going to flip. Obviously, the pole, the electromagnetic pole is not going to shift. The planet is not going to, get upside down one day. We're going all, or we are all going to die or something like that.
No. But I think that is also a possibility too. I'm just sort of going back into like, this is part of a 25,000 year, 26,000 year cycle where this process happens. And I remember reading in some text about how Thoth was on Earth watching the different cycles of evolution, and he would watch the sun rise from the east, and then from the west, and then from the east,
and then from the west.
Yeah.
That is why I believe that we all have this dream with the 2 suns in the sky and 2 moons in the sky.
Oh, you just gave me chills then.
So there will be maybe I can say that this is going to be like that, because
no one really knows exactly how it will.
But the downloads feel much more that the information that I get out of the blue, that we all get out of the blue, it's like much more, it feels like the truth.
Yeah.
So
and it's something that isn't it?
Yeah, because our body will always try to save its life, to survive. We have this sensitivity to the Schumann resonance, because in our feet, in the sole of our feet, we have all these nervous endings or beginnings. I don't know how to say that. I don't know
endings,
how to say
yeah.
Endings on the soles of our feet, and we're sensitive to it, because it's the way that our bodies, receive the signal that we need to seek shelter, because it's going to be an earthquake or something like that. So that is, I can't understand why so many people just don't believe something like this, because actually our bodies function, there's something that in Spanish is called ciclo circadiano, which is like the solar cycle of one day. It determines the way your glands work. When, the sun sets, your gland, your pineal gland starts, producing melatonin, and then you start feeling sleepy, and you know that it's time to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when the electromagnetic energy from the sun starts rising and it starts getting stronger, you have the need to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
We have lost that. Why? Because we live in a modern world that we use, like the alarm clock, and we can stay awake at 11, like, well, right now that we are
Right now for
at,
you.
well, no, it's just 9 p.m. then, 9 p.m. It's not that late. But what I'm trying to say, is that we already lost that.
Yeah.
But if we
Really
are
lost
conscious about it.
the
What?
rhythms, the natural rhythms and cycles
Yes.
going
Yeah,
against.
exactly. And that is, when you get to a doctor, that this is something that I did with my own doctor, my endocrinologist, because I will always have to have one because I don't have a thyroid gland. Uh, I told her, 2 weeks ago. No, it was a month ago, I guess. I just lost, I just
Yeah.
lost 3 weeks of my life because
Yeah.
I was
I
like
feel the
up
same way.
there trying to understand what was going on with me. So the thing is that I told her, I was trying to explain this to her, and she was like kind of, trying to cope with it, trying to understand it, trying to not to laugh, I guess, at me. But then I asked her, if you don't believe in this, just explain me. How does the heart beats? And she just went like, because it has electricity. There's a place in the heart that creates the heartbeat. Yeah, but where does that energy comes from? And she was just like mind blown. It was like, oh yeah, from the sun. And it was like, it's like, yeah, exactly, from the sun. So, and I really love my endocrinologist. I really, really love her so much because she's very open.
Yeah.
Still, she was very reluctant to understand something like that. So the thing is that there are so many people out there that are going through the physical symptoms that don't understand that we are alive basically because the sun exists. So we can be a part of it. We are a part of the sun,
Mm-hmm.
not far away from the sun. So it's like if the sun is changing, we are going to start changing.
Yeah. And
And if the sun starts dying, we are going to start dying.
and you can see, I mean, so many people have talked about over the last few years, not only what you mentioned about the solar cycle, but the actual change in the color of the sun. And a lot of people have said, like, you can see that the color of the sun is no longer that vibrant yellow. It's gone almost to like a white.
Whiter. It
Mm.
is wider. Yeah, it's absolutely wider. And I don't know if people might have noticed, at least the people that are aware of these kind of, solar winds and the solar plasma and the solar flares and all that kind of stuff, that every time that there is a solar flare or a high activity, there is more wind
Mm-hmm.
in the earth. It gets windy.
Yeah.
So that is also why the uh, weather is changing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's all related. That is what I came to understand. That is everything related. That it has obviously the secondary effect of this is spiritual, because we are getting closer to the wave vibrational frequency and getting away from the particle uh, vibrational frequency, because energy only exists in the form of a particle or wave. So as we are evolving to become a wave, our emotions and our thoughts are getting stronger. That is why we can communicate telepathically easily, much more easily, because we are less dense. We are getting away from being a particle,
Mm-hmm.
and we are becoming a wave.
Mm-hmm. And
That is something that maybe have happened in the past to Saturn. Like, just put an example, because Saturn is only made of gas. It's only a wave.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't has actually really the mass that we see or that we believe it has.
You have such a beautiful way of articulating and explaining it. I love that.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
you really do. And I agree with you. you and I both have observed over many, many years the impact, the physical impact, the physical, mental, and emotional impact of what happens in terms of this cosmic energy and how it impacts us. And I think potentially that is because we have that fine-tuned antenna, which is, you know, it's always fun and it's amazing to be so extremely impacted by it. But you know, from my observations, every time we have sun activity, solar activity, that increases in our vibrational frequency, like our consciousness as well rises. It opens.
Because it expands, you know, the spinning of our coronal chakra starts expanding, and it you know, it creates a bigger, not void, but void. It's a void, and we can see the whole picture easily because we are more sensitive to subtle frequencies out there. It's not that they don't exist. It's just that we are not, you know, placing our attention to them because we believe that they don't exist.
Yeah.
As soon as we, you know, start asking ourselves if there is still something, you know, besides that, everything that we can see, what about the things that we cannot see? You know, when you start making that kind of answers to your questions, sorry, not answers. You know,
you'll receive the answers when you start.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is the only thing that is really needed, you know, wanting to know, because it's a divine right. It's our divine right to know who we are and why we came here. And people just believe that it's something that magically happens only to people that, you know, meditates the whole day and makes, you know, dozens of spiritual practices. But no, everyone is entitled to their most authentic self, and to know, absolutely to know, and to have the right information. So that is exactly what I wanted, you know, I'm trying to explain the process as, you know, in an easy way to understand for people that have no effing idea of this, you know, because when I started going through my own process, first of all, I was only finding information in English, not in Spanish. That is why I opened Carta Astral, and you already know that too. Well, part of it. we both know what's the real reason behind that. But anyway, the thing is that there was no information in Spanish, and everything seemed to be like, you know, even harder to understand than quantum mechanics. I was like, what the heck are these people talking about? I don't know what that means, you know, because I was a pretty normal person that didn't meditate, to be honest. To be fair, I didn't meditate.
And I think
I still don't.
I think that's what I love about you, is because you still have to some degree that skeptical mind, which I think is really healthy. And you came from, I mean, I have a different upbringing where I came with all that sort of from childhood, but you had no context around this, yet we go through the same experience.
Exactly. I needed to find the answers, you know, and it was such a hard part for me to, you know, try to negotiate. I
Navigate.
Negotiate. You
Oh,
know,
negotiate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. I needed to, you know, I needed to convince myself that I was not going crazy.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a very hard process. I think that mostly they also said, well, this thing that keeps, you know, giving me information, that keeps giving me this information, they said, oh, you know, that one is not doing anything. Maybe she's bored, you know, let's use her. Something like that, you know. So I had the time. That's the truth. I had the time. I had the free time to get the answers, you know, to understand that, to start learning about all these astrophysics thing, and how the sun, you know, was it's been studied, and the planets. And I already knew about astrology, but it's very much different. Astrology from astronomy and astrophysics is very different. Of course, it's absolutely different. So the thing is that I needed to learn all that stuff to understand it, because I needed an answer. I needed to find answers about what I was going through, you know. And I was like, this is something that is energetic. It's not something that is inside my body, um, because I was sick from my thyroid like for 13 years, and I learned how to listen to my own body. So I knew that this was coming from the outside, not from the inside. And I was like, oh, okay. Most probably someone is making voodoo to me. I was really, yeah, I was at the beginning, I was like, I need to find that person that has you know, my little
The
doll.
doll.
And it's, yeah, and it's, and it's like kind of perforating my belly with these needles. And it wasn't, but it was something that came from the outside. It felt like something that was pushing from the outside. And I was like, this is crazy. What might be this? So I started looking for the answers, and I found myself learning medicine, actually, like symptoms and sicknesses and illness and everything, because I needed to find an answer. And that eventually took me to understand how these human resonances work, and how the solar flares have an effect on our bodies. So that's the thing that nobody out there, well, at least not that I found, maybe there are many people speaking about this in this sense, how it relates to the physical body and why it relates to the physical body. Because it's easy to say, oh, we are receiving codes. Yeah, what's that? There are many people that read, we are receiving codes, but have no idea what a code is,
Yeah, exactly.
what it means, and there are going to be, well, I think that they are already happening, the massive awakenings, because they are increasing the volume.
Yeah.
It's increasing the volume and the frequency. We get all these influences from the sun and from the cosmic radiation waves, all these incoming energies that we are feeling in our bodies. But if you tell someone that has no idea about this, oh, you're receiving codes, it doesn't help.
No.
It
No,
doesn't
it
help,
doesn't.
because you
No.
need to tell them what is a code, what you're talking about, you
Mhm.
know. And even if you explain to them what a code is, maybe they don't get it. If you don't tell them, it's like a frequency, it's just a wave of information that will activate something within you,
Mhm.
because it's related, because the sun basically, is what gave you life. So that is what a lot of people needs to know to get through this, to start going through their own process without freaking out, because it's very scary. It's very scary, to be
It's
honest. It's very,
intense.
very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have never felt something like this before. Never.
There's no context, there's no guidebook. And I love how you put it in such practical terms and write about it in relation to the physical, because it is a very physical experience. Um,
Yes.
and and that's why I love sharing your work, because it is so comprehensive. And and it gives people, because as you and I both know, when you start going on this ascension journey and receiving these frequencies that are impacting and changing the molecular structure of our physical body,
Yeah.
and that's what it's doing, it's turning from carbon to a crystalline form.
Yeah, but
um
there's a physical phenomenon behind that people can't understand. But if you tell them what is going on, they can understand it. It's like these photons, these particles from the sun entering our atmosphere at a high speed. What happened with them is that they add to our electrons and they displace them, and that is quantum mechanics. It's not something that I'm making up right now, to give a weird explanation. No, it's quantum mechanics. The photons they get adhered. They stick to our electrons, and they displace them. So they make them, these photons make them spin faster. And
mm,
that is a physic effect in our bodies. And that is why our own chakras start spinning faster.
yeah.
And
And
that
our
is why hmm?
our energetic, or our light body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
But
often.
but most people don't understand what the heck is a light body. And you know why? Because no, this is, I think that this is why it's so important to bring it down to the people that can have this information, because it's something that I always say, that being the Dalai Lama in Tibet, in a beautiful place, feeding vegetarian tigers is easy, you know.
Yeah.
People that have to feed 3 kids and go outside and have a job for more than 10 hours, that can have, even 2 hours a day for them to rest, to really rest. Do you really believe that they will have the time to understand what a light body is? Of course not. It's like, just tell me that I'm not going to die. Just tell me that what is going with my body, what is going on in my body. And that is why I always try to make it as easier as possible to understand.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that we need to keep people away from fear.
Yeah.
Away from fear.
Yes, 100%.
That's the only thing. That is the most important thing right now. We can start speaking after that about unconditional love, but the first step is try to keep them out of fear.
Yeah.
And always knowing and having the right information will keep you out of fear.
100%.
You know what is going on,
I always say, like, I'm a why, and you're very much like this too. If I understand the why, then I can get through anything. And I think that that's what's made you and I seekers in trying to understand this process, so that we could contain and console ourselves through this.
Mm-hmm.
There was something else I was going to say, and it's just gone out of my head. No, it's gone. It was there, but it's gone. We're going back to the light. I want to go back to the light body. I want to go back to the energy, interchangeable words: energy body, aura, Merkaba,
electromagnetic field.
Interchangeably.
It's an electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
That it has the resonance of our hearts.
And the way that I always talk about it, because I remember, vertigo and dizziness is a big symptom, right? Is a big symptom. And I could never understand it. And like, I sat with the questions one day and I was like, what is the deal with this? Like, why the dizziness and like the disorientation and vertigo? And the answer that came back was that the energy that's coming in is activating. This is how it was conveyed to me. The energy that's coming
context, right?
Yeah, to have the context.
A little bit of context, at least. Yeah. So the
solar energy that's coming in is activating the light body, which is making it spin faster, because you're energetically sensitive to your energy field or electromagnetic field. That is where your physical body starts to feel the dizziness, because it's
exactly. It starts to spin faster and faster and faster. And as soon as this is something that is very I think that the Sufi
yes, yeah,
they understand it, and that's why they spin, because if you start, and the kids, also the little kids that start spinning, is because they are raising their own vibration by spinning.
Yeah.
So the thing is that we lost all of that, and there are out there are a lot of people that can understand the process, and they just get, it's very hard to get the right information or to understand something that is going on when you don't have the right context. And the right context is not because it's better, it's just because it resonates easier. Yeah. We all went to school and we were taught, we were told that energy, can only exist in the form of wave of particle. We all know that there is photosynthesis, and all the process, the natural process, and the 3 stages of water. That is an easy way to explain this process. If we think about the 3 stages of water, we are going from the ice to the vapor, the gas.
Yeah.
So that is our own transformation, because we are made of water, basically.
Yeah.
So, and that is something that people don't get, because everyone speaks about, or not everyone, I think that not everyone, of course, but most people speak about the ascension process like if it was something spiritual going on in a weird environment that is, like it doesn't have to be like that. It's something much more simple. Yeah. It's much more simple than that.
And I think it's so good that we're bringing this conversation in, because more as we go along, like these wave energy waves and frequencies that are coming in are only getting stronger and stronger. It's not gonna slow
Even
down.
know that. Yeah, yeah, and it will create.
It's impacting more and more people, and that's
Yes.
what it's designed to do. And a lot of people are being impacted quite physically, especially at the moment. And that can be really scary for people. People have a lot of fear. I'm talking about staying away from fear. A lot of people have fear about illness and disease and death. So it's
Yeah.
embedded in the human makeup of our, societal conditioning and programming. And when you have these physical symptoms and you go to a doctor or a practitioner and they can't find anything physically wrong with you, which is very common in the Ascension pathway, that is where you have to go to the more energetics of it. And that's where people like yourself really bridge that gap and help people understand that process, and that then begins their own journey of self-exploration and how to manage in a new way to be able to function better and to adapt. That it's about adapting into.
Yes, absolutely. It's about adapting a new higher uh, amount of energy and a different kind of energy, a higher vibrational wave. That is what we are receiving. So our physical body has to adapt, but we have to first be in contact with our own physical body.
Yeah.
And people are not in contact with their own physical body, because we are used to just carry on with our days.
Mm.
We don't really, take the time to know what we are feeling. And the
Yeah.
thing is that obviously, the third dimensional circumstances with the pandemic and all that stuff, it also is related, because I really believe that doctors do what they can do with the training that they have. They are not trying to harm us. They are not doing anything wrong. That is the training that they got. And it's very valuable too.
Mhm.
So the thing is that if you go to the doctor and the doctor says you have nothing to worry about because your physical body is perfectly fine, well, he's not going to say your physical body because they assume that we only have one body.
Yeah, right.
So they're just going to say your body is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with you. So people start getting kind of scared, because I am feeling this and there's nothing wrong. So I'm going to die because this is something that I have never felt before. That is something that happened to me actually when I started having the physical symptoms. I said, it's like I have been always being very aware of my body because of the thing that I had. And this is something that I have never felt before. So, equal, I'm dying. This is how I
Because
die.
it's the
That's
unknown,
it.
isn't it?
You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, in the beginning it was like kind of 30 times a week that I was, writing my last wheel.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was real for me. I was actually dying, and I remember that I was like very because it all started after I had my thyroid removed. At the beginning, I thought it was because of that, and I said they can't put it back together. I am going to die because this is all has started after that. The first part of the process. Then the second part of the process came with that dream I had in 2017, and that is the moment when I understood that there was something bigger going on. I had like 2 years to figure out what the heck was going on, and after this dream, I really understood that there was something bigger, that it was something multidimensional going on. And I didn't have the concept. I had to find it. And I had to explain myself and find the right context for what I was living, and that is what I do through Carta Astral. I try to explain to people in an easy way to understand that they are not going to die, that they just need to keep away from fear because the mind is so powerful, because obviously we are getting closer to the wave, to the wave frequency, and our minds are extremely powerful right now.
And
And
the
they are going
manifestation
to
of
be,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and they are going to be even more powerful. So if you believe that you have the virus or whatever, you know, whatever kind of disease you have, you can create it because you are fearing that that might be the scenario for you, you know. So right now, my biggest concern, I guess, is to keep people away from fear and to, you know, explain to them, because people is more intelligent than we. You know, it's like and I say this because I just found a lot of way showers and pages that treated people like if they were um, ignorant, and that's not the case. You know, we all have this information within us. We all have it.
Yeah.
We just need to bring it out from where it is hidden, because it's behind all the conditioning that we got in the third dimensional level.
Mm.
So it's just, you know, showing the way actually to be or to keep themselves away from fear. And that can only be achieved with information, with a lot of information.
Yeah. And internal journeying as well, and ask, like you were saying before, asking those questions, because the answers will come.
The
But a lot
answers
of
are
people,
already there.
yeah. And I know a big part of my work is just reminding people that they have the power to access any and all information. But it's about asking those questions and then taking guided action with the guidance that
Yeah,
comes.
but you can start asking those questions as soon as you start you understand what is going on and you leave fear behind. You know, because if you are too concerned about your physical body and what it's going through, you know, what is happening with it, you're not going to have the right mindset to
Correct. Yeah.
start asking the transcendent questions that you need to make to yourself, you know.
You have to definitely get your state out of a fear state to be able to get
Yes,
the clear answers that aren't distorted messages from, you know, lower constructs of the mind. So that's a
exactly.
really good important point that you brought up there.
Yeah, because you know that people that are, as I told you, people that are concerned with surviving
Yeah.
because they
It's
need to have a
very
10
primal.
hour work, you know, or job, and they have to feed their babies and whatever. They don't have the time to start asking themselves who I am and why I'm here. What's my mission? They don't have a mission. They do have a mission, but they don't care about the mission because they need to feed their children.
Mm.
You know, they have to have two works, sometimes two jobs at the same time to be able to feed them. So that is what I think that the first step is to, you know, keep people away from fear. And that is what I do. I try to keep them away from fear so they can start asking the right questions to themselves
Mm.
in order to start remembering,
Yeah.
you know. It's just that they will start breaking all the conditioning and leaving it behind as soon as they know that they have the divine right to know.
Yeah.
But they're going to start asking to know as soon as they leave fear behind.
It's such a simple yet powerful message, isn't it?
I think that that is well, that it's obviously my experience. You know, as soon as I left fear behind, everything changed
Mm.
because I really I think that I understood. It was hard, of course. It was a very hard process of 4 years, right? A 4 year process. And I'm still there, you know. I would never say that I am already done and I am in the other side and I am ascended. No.
Mm-mm.
Ascension is a process that is not going to end ever
Mm. It's
because
continually
I'm constantly,
evolving.
constantly evolving, constantly becoming a better human being or a better galactic being or a better, you know, Mars being or whatever being, you know. But yeah, we always have the chance to be better.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to take it
Mm.
and to decide to be better, of course.
Mm-hmm. So going into the second part of that and how it interlinks. So you and I have both been on a very extreme and accelerated ascension awakening pathway.
It felt
That
like a
has
roller coaster, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
that has been and is a part of people's reality. and experience as what I like to call one of the many pathways through ascension. It's not going to be everyone's experience, but it is certainly, in my opinion, the most rapid opportunity to grow and evolve, and that is through a twin dynamic.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And some people resonate with it and other people don't. I know that a lot of my audience do, and probably similar to yours. And I know that there's people that don't believe in it, and that's okay too, because I think we're all here on this awakening and ascension journey, and that the catalyst for that will be many different things. One thing that I will say is I always find it really refreshing, almost in a way that I've heard so many times over the years, people say, I never believed in it until I had my own experience. And I think that that's something that's really important to highlight, is that to go through some of the things that I have gone through and what you've gone through is you can't comprehend it without life experience. And to the average person, it would sound really crazy. And those that go through it can understand and resonate. But I think that I have always seen the importance of twin or divine partnership. I use the words interchangeably because there is so many definitions. Twin flame, twin soul, divine counterpart, sacred relationship, as a catalyst, as an activator.
For me right now, we can call it cosmic multidimensional connection. I'm just, you know, I'm done with all the twin flame thing. It's not with the connection, you know, not with the journey, not with being in this kind of dynamic, but you know, I'm just
terminology around.
Yeah, terminology. It's just like, you know, like but it because it feels that it doesn't make any justice to the experience itself.
No, it doesn't. I think that the actual word terminology twin flame, even though it's the most known and recognized label, has been distorted. It kind of
Absolutely. So I just decided to call my own connection as a cosmic multidimensional connection.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And that's it. You know, it's like if someone asks me, are you a twin flame? I don't know. I just have a multi-dimensional cosmic connection with someone that I don't physically know. That's it. You know, I no. In the third dimensional level, no.
But they are in physical form on this planet.
They are what?
They are in a physical body at this time on this planet.
Yes. They are in the physical body. Yes, a very beautiful physical body. yeah. You know, it's the thing is that we tend to not to believe what we don't experience ourselves, and it doesn't. You know, it's not only related to the ascension process and to all that we are experiencing right now. It's just that there are 7 billion of experiences of third dimensional reality. You know, and we can't be at least you're, you know, kind of a very illuminated, I guess, human being. You know, you can expand your third dimensional mind to the point that you can understand every single experience of the reality, you know. And that is the thing, you know. If someone comes to me and tells me, oh, you know what, I was talking to my cornflakes this morning, I will be like, what? You know, you talk to your cornflakes? And yes, and my cornflakes, you know, replies to me, you know, that's not my experience. It would be kind of harsh for me to understand it, because I am not experiencing that kind of serious, deep conversation with my cornflakes in the morning. But I can't, you know, I can't deny their experience of their cornflakes. You know, it's sorry, it's, you know, it's, I always, a lot of people know that I enjoy using, you know, metaphors and all that stuff to explain things. But to get in a more serious way about this, or speak about in a more serious way, it's exactly what happens with transgender people. You know, you can't tell a transgender woman that she's not a woman, because it's her experience of herself.
Yeah.
So she has absolutely the full right to say and to tell you how she experiences the third dimensional reality.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the clearest example I can give you, you know? So the thing is that, yes, of course, if I tell someone I have a cosmic, multidimensional connection with someone that I have never talked to in a third dimensional level, but that, you know, it has triggered all of these, and it has, you know, it's a whole experience of my life. You know, the people that are not going through this are not going to believe it.
Or
You know,
understand.
or
I
maybe,
mean,
or maybe they will be acceptant, because that is my experience. You know, I haven't found not even one person saying you are completely out of your mind. You know, the people that know, because I thought that I was just going crazy when all started, and I was like, I went to the psychiatrist. I really needed to find an answer that made me feel not that crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
think we can
so
all relate to that along this pathway and journey, no matter what the variation is. That another concept that has come to me, because I know the feeling of feeling like I am completely crazy. I've lost it. I've lost it now. Like
I've
this
lost
is
it.
this is
Lost it.
tipped
Yes.
all, you know, and I
Yes.
one day in my contemplation, I was like, what is that process? And I loved the analogy that came back, and it says you have to lose your mind to gain a higher level of consciousness.
Absolutely, because the mind is what interferes with a higher level of consciousness. You know, it's like how I experience it. It's like, are you going to go with your mind? You know, the third dimensional mind that has created all these conditioning, and that has created all these fears, and that has created all these false ideas of yourself, or you're going to go with your heart. You know, because if there is anything that I have learned after all these 4 years, is that the truth is felt in the heart, you know, and that there is really possible to feel unconditional love for someone, unconditional love in a way that is cosmic. It's different. It's not a
Beyond
human
human.
unconditional love.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not human. It's like, how the heck I can feel this, you know? It's something that absolutely changed your life in a third dimensional level, you know. And suddenly you start to remember about yourself, and you find yourself, you know, not wanting to know anything else from third dimensional reality. You just become multidimensional as soon as you find out about the connection, of course.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of bring it in, because we were talking off camera before, and the different
Okay.
level.
I will have to consider if I'm going to answer anything that you might ask.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about how this label, this title, this concept has grown and evolved over the years. And I was really pushed in the beginning of this year to write a very comprehensive, I think it's a 10-page article, and then I record it into an audio version to talk about the different types of like soul connections, purely because I was trying to categorize my own experience and what I've gone through over many years. And as a human, I need to compartmentalize them all to make greater sense of them.
Yes.
And I thought, and also another reason for doing that is because I've worked with clients for many, many years in their own dynamics, and I've observed a lot too. And I've noticed the different trends and the different experiences, and how they're similar, but they're different. And, you know, and it was like, how do I bring this all together to make better sense of? And I did that, you know, and I talk about this concept of galactic counterparts and earth counterparts. And I mean, I go into very in-depth detail. You know, I talk about karmic connections and soul family, you know, disincarnate counterparts, you know, ones who either have left the physical plane, or haven't incarnated in this lifetime, because I've seen every type. Well, I can't even say that. At this point, I feel like I've seen every type, but you know, there's probably more to come. I mean, really,
there will be something new after this.
There will always be something new.
Exactly.
And you know, not that I spoke about that in that article, but that whole article comes from a lifetime of experience. And you know, up until this point, I have encountered each of those different types of counterparts to understand the functionality of them and how they play a role in my own ascension and evolution. And each one has offered me something so precious and invaluable that I couldn't have grown or accelerated without coming into contact or having that, you know, awareness. And you know, sort of moving into that, and from that vast way of seeing it, how I've always understood the purpose and importance of counterparts on the planet at this time is to assist with the ascension of the planet.
Yes, yes, exactly. Can we cut it? Can we cut this there? Yes, that's part of what we came here to do, to help with the ascension, the mass ascension process. You know, yeah, with Gaia's ascension, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, I think what I'll do is I won't go into great detail, but I'll put in the link in the description box, that article or the YouTube video that breaks down the different types of counterparts if people are interested and want to go there, because I talk about the purpose of it as well. But I want to get into, because you and I share, you know, that experience of having that galactic, multi-dimensional counterpart experience, who that person is in physical embodiment. And it is a very powerful and palpable connection that radically changes the energy within us. It transforms around us, and it has an impact on the Earth's vibrational frequency, as I believe it. I've always sort of seen it as these counterparts connect energetically. It yes. works with strengthening and creating a different energetic grid system around the planet, and in conjunction with everything else that's going on. And
with everything else, yes.
And I think that is so important. And I think that's why, you know, I can speak for myself. I can probably speak on behalf of some of my clients who I know quite well, is that is why we work so hard on these divine connections, to bring in, you know, harmony and connection. And there's a lot of healing and triggering that comes up and that is involved. But ultimately, we know that we're doing this for a greater purpose beyond our own personal connection or relationship.
Okay, well, I think that what happens is actually that we, you know, it's like we work like channels of these higher frequencies, you know, and we bring them down so others can start, you know, I don't know how to say this, but get used to the frequency. You know, it's like they get they are exposed to this higher frequency, and they just can rise their own frequency. You know, you put two people, whether they are twins or not, you know, I believe that, you know, whatever you can call them, but when you put two people that really love each other unconditionally, everything changes around them.
Yeah.
You know, and every single being in contact with them automatically rises its own frequency.
Yeah.
Because it can be different, you know, energy, you know, energy travels in space. So yes, it's part of I believe that it is part of the ascension process, that we came here to create that kind of frequency in our small circles, I guess, and that, you know, the frequency expands, of course, and it touches everything and it transforms everything. It's like somehow bringing, you know, heaven to earth, I guess. So, and it's related to the sun. To be honest, it's related to the sun, to the because the sun is the highest frequency possible. that we can embody, of course, the sun's frequency, not not fully, because we would, die, I guess. It's such a higher frequency that we can handle it with our physical bodies. That is why we have a physical body. If we were, like a match to the sun's frequency, we were already be, a ray of light.
Yeah.
That's all. We wouldn't have this physical body. So these divine cosmic connections that we can have in different places at the same time, it's part of the are kind of catalysts for the people around us,
Yeah.
that might not have the same uh, experience of the journey, because I believe that not all people has these kind of connections. They might. Did you hear that? Something fell down. Something just broke. It was like, oh, okay. Um, anyway, so yes, it's part of the ascension process, and I think that it is actually related to what we call the event,
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. And I agree. I just want to clarify something, because this is what I mean. Um,
Yeah.
the most predominant counterparts that I talk about in that, or my understanding, is like the galactic counterpart, and that is someone who will, you know, feel a resonance with the term starseed, or feel that they're from off planet, a volunteer, a wanderer, all those names interchangeably, depending on which school of thought. But ultimately someone who's come from either a higher dimension, or has come from a different planet to have a physical experience. Quite often these beings, not in all cases, but haven't had many Earth lifetimes. They've come here specifically to bring and embody that frequency, to assist with this process. And that's what my definition of a galactic counterpart is. And quite often through that process, people will be able to access multidimensionally, access galactic beings, and be in communication with them. Can spark Kundalini awakenings. There's so many things that can happen through that galactic counterpart connection. And the way that I see it is that these two beings in some people's school of thought, are one androgynous being that has come into two forms.
Yes. Something that we are right now, we call it non-binary. In a
Yes.
third dimensional level, it's
Yeah.
called non-binary.
Yeah. And it's definitely I've just sorry, I've just pulled a blank. There was something else I was going to say to that, but it's about the mission. The way that I see it is that whatever mission has been accomplished off planet, on whether it's in this solar system or a different galaxy or in a different dimension, it's been brought here to ignite that sort of mission here on the planet. And on the flip side of that, then there's people who are, well equipped with Earth, and have an Earth counterpart of someone who they've shared many, many lifetimes with on planet Earth, many, come back and incarnated multiple times over and over again. And, sometimes they have gone through the ascension process, or gone through, times of Atlantis, Lemuria, Egypt, all those different civilizations, and, studied and researched and know and understand that ascension process. So, that's just two different types that I've seen. And for the most part of my very long journey, it was the galactic counterpart that was predominant in my own experience. And I would see all these other clients that who'd had these multiple lifetimes over and over again, which I hadn't had that experience with my galactic counterpart. We have very, very minimal Earth lifetime. I was aware of our galactic lifetimes through regression work, and that was started, put all the pieces, but I didn't. And then and then only to come into contact with an Earth counterpart, and then understood the other experience of it. So I have this kind of, what did I sign up for? Like, my God.
Exactly. The funny part is that finding out how it works in a third dimensional level is very challenging.
Yes.
The only way I was able to explain to myself what the heck was going on in this situation was through learning quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
actually quantum physics, quantum mechanics, because otherwise otherwise, right? I wouldn't be able to understand what the heck is going on,
Mm.
because I had access to so much information, to so much kind of remote viewing
Yeah.
experiences,
Mm-hmm.
telepathic experiences with this other half of my soul. And they were unexplainable to me, completely unexplainable. It was like, why is this happening to me? I didn't even choose this, because I didn't choose it. And it's not that I didn't choose it. It's just that I didn't know what was going on.
Mm.
I was completely uh, unaware of it. You at least had context, a little bit of context, to understand that I didn't.
Mm.
So I needed to, start at 0 point to
Mm.
start, finding the answers. So the thing is that, when you mentioned that these galactic counterparts that we have somewhere out there in the galaxy, that are manifested in two different physical bodies and that are going through these two physical bodies, are androgynous.
Mm.
It's because, the way that in a third dimensional level we understand gender, it's binary, it's separate. So, and we all know that Ascension, the most important goal of Ascension is to become one again, to become unity, to solve the polarity, to bridge the gap between the two halves and between the two genders, between the two sexes, between the two parts, that makes us be separated. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to not have too much, third dimensional context and try to understand it. It's like finding out something that you have never imagined that could be possible, but that you deeply know that it is the truth.
Yeah.
So that's the mind always has this cognitive dissonance with the situation, and to be honest, I am completely, I didn't have any kind of information about that, anything. I just found out about it, and it has been a very hard process to assimilate and to integrate energetically also, because this has to become myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a hard part, it's like quite keeping my third dimensional mind away from it and let it, become a part of who I am in this third dimensional level by remembering it. It's just, it's exactly the process in the of the in the other direction that we always do. We tend to understand everything, and then we judge it as truth or untruth. But the thing is that here in these kind of connections, it starts from the truth, and then you have to, talk with it and own it.
Yeah.
Basically, own it. The hardest to own a connection like that.
And I think that is all by design. I've always understood that is that it's so unbelievable to the third dimensional mind and experience.
Yes. Because it's not an experience of the third dimensional reality.
Correct.
That is why, because ascension is also a process of descension, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you have to bring concepts from it's like meeting at the middle of the bridge, meeting in the middle point.
Mm.
So the third dimensional mind has to rise, but also the higher self descends into our consciousness.
Yeah.
So that is the hard part, that is the really hard part, because you have to accept that you need to lose your mind, as you said, you need to lose your mind to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And not die in the process.
Because a lower dimensional mind will never understand these experiences and will always have cognitive dissonance to it.
Because in it's not a human experience. That is why it's not human.
It's human.
So how do you explain
coming into a human? Yeah.
That it is something that is actually happening, and that you see the universe, like kind of bending itself
mm,
to make it, see it.
mm.
Sometimes I believe that I was going crazy and that I was like these kind of crazy people that finds patterns everywhere and that finds weird stuff. But thankfully, I have always been surrounded by people very intelligent, very educated, very grounded, very scientific based people that said you doesn't you don't seem to be crazy. It makes sense what you're saying. So that has been very helpful for me
Mm.
to understand all this experience that I have of the third dimensional reality. And I know it has a purpose. And I absolutely know it has one of the most important purposes in ascension process. These kind of uh, experiences of divine connections. Because I believe that it doesn't has to be like in a romantic relationship or something. It's just that I think that what really moves the human part of ourselves, it's love, and it's the connections that we create between each other. Because we were born for that. We are here for that. The final goal of this is to become one together.
Mm.
So if someone was going to move us, was that? That is how I understand it, because to be honest, I don't care about the financial system and I don't care about the political system either. But that's me. There are
That's
people that
do
there are
that.
people that their first interest resides in bringing heaven to earth in a political
Mm.
way, in a financial way too, because we are not going to just wake up one day in five-dimensional reality. We need to create it
Yeah.
through the choices that we start making,
Mhm.
you know. So that's the thing too. But people believe that in this ascension process, we are just going to wake up and there is going to be just, a beautiful unicorn in your window saying, "Good morning. We are already in five-dimensional level." It's like, no, that is not how it's going to happen. We need to create that heaven on
Correct.
earth that
Yeah.
we are,
Every day with our choices.
every single day. Yes, we need to choose unconditional love over everything,
Yeah.
always.
Mhm.
Even if you feel that you are going crazy, you need to choose unconditional love. Yes, because the third dimensional mind will tell you that you are crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you can possibly be feeling something like that for someone you have never met in a third dimensional level.
Thank you for sharing in your open honesty and rawness. And it's so appreciated. And your down to earth practicality too, you know. I
That
really
is
admire.
what we need to do, that is what we need to bring it down. So we need to understand and explain it in a third dimensional level.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how it reaches and is understood by the masses, I believe. So the final piece that we haven't sort of put in together, but it's something that you and I think this is a shared thought process amongst many others too, is that the connection between the divine connections, we'll call them that, and the event, or interchangeably the solar flash, the pole shift, the shift in
Mhm.
consciousness.
I don't think that I don't think that the polar shift is the same thing as the event.
Okay.
I really believe that what we call the event, or what we are expecting as the event, is a huge solar flare. It's like, that is how I feel it. I don't know if it will be like in a very potent way, like too much, or is going to be just a very high frequency kind of energy. A much more speed. I don't know, because I can possibly know that. I have, it's like, it would be like making theories about it. I just know that the event is related to the reunion of these
Yeah.
divine counterparts on a third dimensional level. And
Yeah.
because it's going to be a resonance experience, it's like it will create a frequency that will reach the sun. I know it sounds very crazy and very weird, but if we can accept that we are all connected and that everything in the universe is all connected, because basically that is how it is. you know, and we know this from when we went to school. They told us the truth in that sense. Energy is not created, it's not going to end, it just transforms itself.
Mm-hmm.
So every single wave of energy that we put out there, doesn't matter what it is, it's going to transcend space and time, because you can't refrain a wave. You know, you can refrain the particle, but you can't refrain the wave to reach the space and to keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is what I got, I guess, that this is going to create a wave of information. Like if it were a huge heartbeat from our planet, and it will reach the stars, literally, our sun, and then the sun will resonate with that. It's like if we were going to ignite the sun,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It sounds crazy. Yes, it is. It sounds crazy.
I don't think so. I mean, to me, that makes perfect sense. And it's always been theories that
Yeah,
I've
but
had.
because you have the context, you have the context, you have the right context. So if you go with you know, you tell this to someone that has to, you know, have a job, a 10-hour job, and that it, you know, that have no context about it, you tell that people, you tell that person about it, and they will say, what movie are you watching? You know.
And there probably is movies that are based
Oh,
on.
yeah, people can believe something that happened, you know, like, well, people believe Matrix, and Matrix
Mm-hmm.
is reality. It's, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but people, it's like I always say, you know, you can't. I know that many people can go downstairs and get a spoon and start, you know, gazing at the spoon and see if it bends or not, but it's not like that. You know, in movies they have to be very graphic.
Mm.
You know, very graphic. It's something that like I remember that I watched Sense8 when it came out
Yeah.
first, and I thought that might be possible, but no, absolutely no, because it had never happened to me. As soon as it started happening, I was like, whoa, 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 you know, and it happened to me too with the OA.
Mm-hmm.
That I can assure you that the OA and Sense8 are not fictional.
No, no, they're not. And
You
I
have
don't
to.
watch movies, but I watched both of those entire series because it had so much resonance with.
You know, I do watch TV. I not too much, to be honest. But what actually what the Wachowski sisters have created, Cloud Atlas, Sense8, um, you know, Jupiter Ascending.
Mm,
You know, these women know something,
mm,
because these women come from the future,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
You know, so they know.
Mm-hmm.
And they are trying to put it into easy words, easy concepts to understand,
Yeah.
because there are many people out there that have no idea about it, and they just start having the experience and they just freak out, maybe for the
As
first
we all do,
year.
you
They
know.
just freak out for the first year, and then they just realize that it's actually the truth.
Mm,
It's actually the truth.
mm,
But it doesn't show up like, you know, the truth is not going to be in a third dimensional reality the way it shows up in the movies, or the way it's shown in the movies, because, you know, it's hard to, if it's hard to explain with words, I think that it would be harder to explain with images also, because you need to have the context.
yeah. It goes back to that, doesn't it? Having that context.
I think that you have covered your voice,
Oh,
because I
have I?
didn't. Yes, I think that you were a little bit away from
I
the
just said it's all
microphone.
about context, isn't it? And yeah.
Yes. Yes, because you know, and this is something that happens at the beginning of the ascension process to everyone. You know, the first kind of dreams that you start having, it's kind of an ET, you know, invasion. And
Mm,
of course,
yeah.
it's not about ET invasions. It's about these higher frequencies coming to the earth, you know, and passing through us. And our linear third dimensional mind explains it, because it's a concept that it has, you know, it's a context that it can give to something like that, to that kind of frequency. Because when we are asleep, we are receiving frequency. We are not seeing all the images we see, you know, as soon as we wake up, we start processing the information, and our mind, translate it into images,
Hmm. Yeah.
into what you see, or that you thought that you were, dreaming with. You
Hmm.
don't see actually anything when you're asleep. You are just receiving the frequency, and the brain is, like kind of keeping it. And then as soon as you wake up, you process that information,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the brain is processing information all the time, even when you are asleep.
And I think that that for me has been the biggest guide along this path, is the messages and the visions and all the information that's come through my dream space has been, for the most part, purely prophetic. And I think the more I had those dreams and the more it was showing up into my physical reality, the more trust I had with believing and seeing in what I was receiving in my dream space as real, not as a
Exactly,
fantasy.
because you start having the concept, the context. You had concepts
Yeah.
to understand what you were getting, the frequency that you were receiving. It had finally a name, or
Yeah.
a way to understand it. So as soon as you start, the regular people, that are not aware of the process, as soon as they start understanding the process, they start getting the right concept. So they stop dreaming with alien invasions. They know that what they were receiving were these higher frequencies from the sun.
And that's so common in the beginning, that people will have an alien invasion dream, or they will have what I call an event dream. I mean, I had mine in the beginning of the solar flash. I've had many, yeah, and more and more people are, it goes cyclical. From what I've observed, there seems to be a lot of people will have it all at the same time, and then it will stop. It won't, and no one sort of receives information, but it's ramped up again, because I know that a lot of the information that has come through my sessions in the last few months, while we've kind of been in this lower purgatory state, can I call it that? It's been brutal. It really has. It hasn't been fun at all. Um, but I've been told that this is a purification process, because there's this massive upswing that's connected to the sun energy, which is influx coming in. And what I said to you before we started recording, it just came into my mind, was that normally when I get these information and messages about it's coming soon, the event, the solar flash, the activity from the sun, union with the counterpart, however,
Tell me about it. Yay!
generally
Anyway,
that comes to me when I'm in a higher vibrational state and
it happens
connected.
to me too.
Connect.
And the thing is that not only getting that kind of information, but also feeling and, having the telepathic communication and having all this stuff with my own divine counterpart, or whatever it's called, but this half of my soul that is out there, living her life, whatever. It happens when we start receiving more, like incoming cosmic radiation waves, and also with the solar activity. It always happens when, back in May of 2019, when it happened, the kind of flare in Proxima Centauri, I remember that it was very high
Yeah,
time, that a lot
was,
of
yeah.
people were having all these dreams related to aliens and spaceships, and everything that had to do with higher dimensional frequencies, of course, because that is what we were receiving.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, what is curious to me right now is the
Mm-hmm.
fact that all this information and messages that's been coming through over the last, let's say 6 weeks or so, has
Mm-hmm.
been while I've been in a lower dimensional energy state.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is curious, because I've learned over the years that I get these information, I tap into these future reality and timelines, and I access this information, and I take it, or at least I did, took it quite literally. Oh my God, this is happening now. Oh, no.
Mm.
And in hindsight, I was like, oh no, I was tapping into like 3 years from now. You know, it
Yeah,
was the now
that is very
moment in
funny.
linear, you know, three
Mhm,
years has to come and go.
mhm.
And so I find it really curious that being in a lower energy state as I am and have been for a while right now, but still receiving these, I don't want to say imminent messages that something's on the horizon, but it's close. So that
Yes,
makes,
it's getting
shows me the
closer.
gap
Getting
in,
closer, absolutely. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Um, and, you know, I, being on this counterpart journey for a very long time for me in earth years, and I have had the experience of connecting in third dimension, and I can say that every experience that I have been through with I'll say the various counterparts, because there has been, you know
Ooh, thank God I only have one. I don't have areas. I just have one. Yay!
I will say a higher frequency partner, because I see that every relationship that we have is necessary on a divine partnership
Yes.
journey, because a lot of people will encounter what people so eloquently call a false twin or a karmic connection, and all those lovely terms and phrases. I like to call them the high
Mhm,
initiatory, like the high initiate counterpart,
mhm.
because they're the ones generally that will teach us the most harsh lessons, but necessary lessons to step into our personal empowerment. Um, but the ones that I've had that have a great vibrational frequency significant aspect to it, I know the potency and power that has in coming into physical contact. The energy that ripples through is unlike anything, and I know that you have experienced it too, because when you're in that high dimensional state, it's like you're experiencing being there with them,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't really matter whether there's a physical connection or it's via
Now,
distance.
believe me, it does matter. It does matter.
I'm getting to that. I'm
Yeah.
getting to that.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that. But the energy and activations that come through, no matter where you're located or situated, and I think that's quite
Yes.
divine in its
Yes,
own
because
way.
again, it's not a human experience.
No,
The human is the final expression of it, I guess.
correct. Yeah. But the potency and power of the impact coming into the physical connection, I think, is what makes the difference.
I can possibly tell you that because I have not experienced something like that yet. So it might be, of course, it might be, but I just in a third dimension. Well, in a third dimensional level, I don't have the experience yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I will. Hopefully, I will. But I'm not sure if that is going to happen ever. So I just hope I do. I just hope I do, because if not, oops, we are going to be in it would be a little bit complicated, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we have the thing that we have talking about, before we start talking, that it's like being a lighting rod
Mm.
somehow,
Yeah. It
to
is.
the
It's a
higher
lightning.
energies, and it's kind of related to the people that is around us. As yeah,
It,
you rise the frequency of the people around you, and if that doesn't happen in a third dimensional level, well, I think that the process can be fully completed, I guess. I don't know, it would be like too much to say that it's absolutely needed. Yeah, I think I do, it is needed. I think that it's the ultimate goal, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah. I
we,
agree.
we both know that timelines can change.
Yeah.
Things might happen or might not happen. So I think that we all are discovering this ascension process one day at a time.
100%. 100%.
And we just,
And
the only thing that I have already realized is that everything is a cycle.
yeah.
It's like, because time, it's not linear, it's a cycle also. So we go through, an upgrade, and maybe the next year we have to go through another upgrade at the same time. I have a specific part, months of the year that I know that are going to be intense for me, because it's the way my own process has been shown as it cycles.
Yeah.
For me, January is always significant. January, March,
March,
and
April always kick my ass.
hmm?
Every March and April always kick my ass
Yeah,
every year.
I know, I know, I know.
But two things I want to end on that are floating in my head is that I know how powerful the energy and capacity is because I have experienced it in my own life, um, far and near, and everything in between. But this one situation I'll never forget. I was in a much higher frequency and I was connecting with the feeling of unconditional love that I had in that connection. And I was out driving, as I like to do, is my way of processing, but I was just channeling such a high frequency that my whole body was vibrating as it can do. And I was tapping into a future timeline of being in a union, in a physical union. And all these imagery was, and I was feeling into the love and the power and the potency of that. There was a freaking earthquake. We
Right
don't
now,
have earthquakes in my part of the world. We don't live on any fault lines, but there was an earthquake at the exact time where I was driving. And I was like, damn, did that just like move some tectonic plates? Or, I mean, I
Mhm.
can't, but imagine all these different people having this counterpart connection coming into that frequency at the same time in connection, what that can do for the planet. And that's the way I've always seen it.
That is the song of the planet. That is what the planet will sing.
Yeah.
And the sun and the beings that are in the sun will resonate with that. And then the sun will finally release the amount of energy that we are talking about, because what we're going to feel, that is what I believe, but again, it's just my own way to experience this process and to
Correct.
understand it, because I need to not to feel that kind of crazy,
Mm.
because it feels, I feel it. It's not something that I'm making up. I wish that it would be something that I'm making up, because that means that I have control over it, and that I
Right.
can end it. That I can end it. I just can one day decide to just to end it. But in my case, and it, I have already told you about all of these. There are things happening that are completely out of my control, and it's like unbelievable, really unbelievable. It's mind blowing. So I think that the signal that the earth is going to create as a frequency, as a frequency, when that happens, when every single human being is able to feel unconditional love in their hearts the way it is, because it feels like God on earth, um, that frequency will reach the whole universe, not only the sun, and there is going to be kind of a resonance
Mm.
from the sun, and of course it's going to flare in a great, huge way. I don't know if that might happen soon, because we all know that this is just the way we understand it. I wish, I would love to see that happen. To be
And
honest, I would.
I truly believe that that's why we all came here. Some of us have worked lifetime over lifetime to get to this point. Some are, volunteers who've been here sporadically but have come for this point. It doesn't matter, it's all as it is. And, everyone plays a very important role, and never underestimate your impact, no matter what your journey is, in being able to move away from fear, embody unconditional love, and work with the energies and frequencies that are coming in, and making those small physical changes every day, and those choices that lead, into collective unity. So
Finally, I think what is really important is to choose always unconditional love
mm,
towards others. Because I don't know if would agree with this because it's not a popular idea, but the New Age philosophy, a very huge part of it, created the false idea that we need to be, that we need to love ourselves first.
No,
And
I
I
agree.
think that it is exactly in the opposite way. We need to love others in order to love ourselves and to know ourselves. That doesn't mean that you're going to stay in a place that someone is, destructive with you, because that is self-destructive also. But it's just, if you put the other's needs first than your own wishes, not your needs. You need to fulfill your needs, of course.
Yeah.
If you can help others, it's your responsibility to help others, because that is what will create actually unity again. They started worrying and caring about others. Doesn't matter if it's your divine counterpart or not. It's just caring about others, helping others, serving others. That is the only reason we are here. Because the only goal is to become one again. To become one, there must disappear the idea that we are not the same being. But because we can see that we are actually the same being. We are actually just one. The wave that we are, because each one is a wave created by our own heartbeat, it always interlinks with the other heartbeats. So we actually are a huge wave.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thanks.
I agree with you. I think I've always struggled with this concept of self-love, and when I reframed it in that way, in that beautiful way that you put it, and come to that realization that I am in my best embodiment when I am being of service. And that's where I feel the most love for myself, is because
yes,
I have,
of course.
Yeah, it's a self-generating.
Yes, of course,
And
because you become unconditional love. The moment you become
correct.
unconditional love, the self disappears.
Yeah.
You're just channel. You're just a vessel for unconditional love. So you don't mind about yourself because you're already filled with it. You're already that frequency of unconditional love. So the self disappears. Unconditional love is not something that you give to yourself. It's something that you become.
Yeah, you are.
It's a frequency you become, and you have to choose, to love others the same way you already love yourself. Taking care of yourself, surviving, it's loving yourself, serving yourself in that sense. It's like if you become unconditional love, you can't, by giving unconditional love to others, it's not taking it away from you.
It's giving more because you're that vessel, right?
Again, I can hear you. Okay, I can hear you again. Because
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I was just saying, being that vessel, it's infinite, because as you give, you're refilled. It's that.
You become the whole. Actually, you become the whole.
And I think that's why I always push
more.
I think that's why I'm always pushing the importance of soul work and soul mission in whatever capacity that looks like, because you're constantly in a state of embodying that energy for yourself, and you're also impacting others in a positive way. Yeah.
And as soon as you realize you are unconditional love, and that you have become the whole, you start having needs. You stop having personal needs. So if all my needs are fulfilled, my real emotional needs are fulfilled, I don't need to, ask to others to behave the way I need them to behave. I just accept them the way they are.
Yeah. So simple, yet so profound.
No, it's simple. And it's simple.
Yeah.
We believe that it's not that simple, because we were raised in a way that we need to.
We were taught to believe differently through our upbringing.
No, and we were taught to earn love. We need to become something in order to be loved. because that is the way we adapt to the third dimensional reality.
Yeah.
Because our parents told us, you know, if you, well, not that, you know, openly, but they were conditioning our behavior to fit into the societal needs, ways. So you just, well, all of those, we just forget who we really were in order
And
to
now it's a
survive.
time of remembrance and flipping on that all on its head to relearn, remember, and operate from different ways.
And just remember that we don't have to become anything to be loved.
No.
We already are loved, and because we are loved, basically. So we don't have to become anything. And that we are also able to be loving and accepting with every single human being and living being, you know, not just humans.
Our whole wider galactic family.
Yes, that's exactly what we are, a whole galactic family using different embodiments, I guess.
Yeah. Alicia, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge and information and inspiration and this conversation today.
Thank you so much to you.
And thank you to everyone if you've stuck around this long and followed and watched us. You know, I'm sure we'll come on again another time when we feel the call and the guidance to. But yeah, just massive love to everyone, and thank you for your ongoing support. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.